All right. Now, welcome to Wildcard Wednesday on Tactical Pontoon. Now, I am trying something different, so I could very possibly not be live. I'm going to have to check on my phone or on YouTube to see if I am actually live today. I'm trying to do something a bit different, and that would be stream on StreamYard instead of just using YouTube. So if anybody's around and you see me, let me know. I'm probably going to check here in a minute on my phone just to verify that I am actually alive, or not alive, but live. I'm pretty sure I'm alive. Okay, good. MR2 scroll. So it looks like I am actually live. Again, like I said, trying something a bit different today, being on StreamYard instead of just going through YouTube. So I didn't get a chance to check this connection beforehand, and it's been a crazy week with Thanksgiving being tomorrow. It kind of just threw an entire wrench into this week, and everything. Hey Matt, what's up, man? Good to see you here. um it just threw an entire wrench. I don't seem to be able to get anything done this week. I've been able to knock some triggers out, but when it comes to shipping, with Thursday, tomorrow being Thanksgiving, and it being closed, I've got stickers to send out all over the place. And that's a pain in the butt. I'm gonna be honest. Sending out stickers in an envelope is a pain in the butt. Just I'm trying to streamline it. With triggers, I've got them you know, I've got that down. Flat rate boxes, it's a flat rate. It's pretty simple. Envelopes, that's a different deal. And I'm just, maybe I'm just a baby, I guess. But stickers are going out. I've already got some of them out. Matt, I know yours are headed your way in an envelope. Got some stickers headed your way. Again, now with those stickers, basically tomorrow's the last day. Buy a sticker, one sticker, two sticker, doesn't matter. You not only get a code for anywhere from $10 to $20 off any trigger system, including Black Friday sales. You get a code that will work on Black Friday code sales, and I will send the code out before the sticker so that you can take advantage of those codes uh, before Black Friday's done and the prices go back up. So they're good for that. Plus, I will select one of those individuals who bought a sticker for a Peacemaker system. So you get a free Peacemaker system for any generation except for 43, so or 10 millimeter 45 caliber. So any 9 millimeter full size frame Peacemaker, that is yours. So if you've bought a sticker, you're in the runnings for that. So that's what I got going on for there. So good. It looks like StreamYard is live. 720p. I haven't purchased their license yet. I wanted to try it out. So tonight we're streaming on 720p instead of a full 1080. So maybe I look a little better since I'm not full resolution. I don't know. So what's everybody up to tonight? How's your week been? Do you have tomorrow off? Did you get today off? Are you looking forward to turkey? I know I am. One of my favorite times of year because that means there's a large plethora of different foods. Um, Turkey, ham, stuffing. I know when I was a kid growing up, stuffing was the probably the thing I looked forward to the most every year. My mom makes an amazing uh generic stuffing, if you will, not stovetop, but it's being down in the South, it's dressing, whether it's cornbread dressing or rice dressing. But I prefer my northern stuffing, and my girlfriend, she does an amazing job of replicating my mom's stuffing because going up north this time of year is it's cold, and I'm more of a warm weather creature at this point. So yeah, that's about what I got for that. We'll talk a little bit more about Thanksgiving in a bit, but obviously that is not why you're here. This is Wildcard Wednesday. This is Tactical Pontoon. And that means we're going to talk some Glock stuff, Glock trigger stuff, and other gun news and whatnot. Hey, Steven, what's up? Just dry firing over here. What are you up to tonight? Well, aside from the streaming, I have I have to get up early and put the turkey in the oven. Before I go to sleep, I need to got to get ready for eating, and that means I will be getting on my little running elliptical machine and going for another 2 hours or so that I get in some sort of calorie deficit, because it's going to be rough. I've been doing really well, and with Thanksgiving coming up, I'm going to eat, not going to lie. So I hope everybody's got some good food lined up, and you're not scheduled to go visit vegans, because that would be an unfortunate Thanksgiving. I've been there. Really don't want to go back to that one again. So before we get started, as always, I talk about a smaller shop that does good work and needs some extra recognition. Now tonight, that would be Sapper Tactical Creations. Clint, he's actually about to get one of my combat armory frames to play with. As normal, I told him, just go ahead and do what you want to do with it, experiment with it. If it dies, it dies. But I'm sure it will come out really, really nice. I have built some triggers for him in the past, and we've just not had a chance to really do anything until here recently. So I got with him, and like I said, I'm going to send him a combat armory frame to play with. Clint is in Portland, Tennessee. He doesn't really have a very large following on Instagram. Maybe we could go change that. To find him, it's SAPPER_tactical_creations. So go check him out. Go take a look at his work. He does stippling and Cerakote, and looking at both of them, he does really good work. His Cerakote work is definitely on point. I'm really excited to maybe have him do some of his splinter camo or something. So Sapper Tactical Creations. Go check him out and tell him I sent you. Maybe get lined up for a frame with him. Okay, now we'll continue on. News for the week. Like I said, it's been a crazy week. Nothing too terribly exciting when it comes to new trigger drops or otherwise. I have not been able to get much done here in the shop or even on the website. I do plan on sending out a reminder newsletter for all of the Black Friday pricing, as well as stickers, because those stickers are pretty neat. I was gonna grab one, but I didn't grab one here to show everybody. If you've not seen one of the new stickers, the Trigger Jedi stickers, check them out on the website. Like I said, grab yourself one, and get a chance to win a Peacemaker system. Except for you, Matt, not you. You're not allowed. Yes. Yeah, I just saw your message there, Matt, about a terrible time to be on a diet. I pretty much have to be on a diet all the time, because I have the luck, if you will, to look at food and get fat. I mean, it's bad. Something about my metabolism is just, it's not great. So growing up a fat kid, I'm still a fat kid. I'm not as bad as I was at one time. I would say, I guess it's been about 10 years. This is 22. So yeah, 2012 was the year that I really decided that I needed to drop some weight and get in shape. So this has been a bit of a 10-year journey. I was close to 300 pounds. And when you're 5'5", so yes, I am short. When you're 5'5", that 300 pounds probably is closer to like 400 pounds the way you look. And so I was a big dude. I'm still a big guy, but I'm not 300 pounds big. And I know we're going way off topic. Damn you, Matt. So, anyways, like I said, it's been a 10-year journey. I dropped down to like 189, 187, and then of course I got with my girlfriend about 6 years ago. I hope she's not watching this and getting mad about the fact that I probably am wrong with the year. It's either 5 or 6 years. Yeah, and I gained a little bit back, and it goes back and forth. But like I said, if I'm not strict, I'm in trouble. I just have that type of metabolism, and being here in the trigger cave is not a very you don't burn a lot of calories building triggers, or dry firing. So I have to go out and I have to burn some calories in various different ways. So, anyways, okay, let's get back on a Glock conversation, if you will. And so on Sunday we talked about the CR920. I'm still waiting for parts to finish that thing up. I do want to do originally I was just going to do a video on an overhead video and upload it to the channel as I pulled that thing apart, but I think I'm actually going to do it live, similar to the way I did the connector video. We'll pull it apart and we'll take a look at it, and then if you guys have any questions, we can talk about it then and there. Because having looked at that thing even closer, the trigger system on it, there are a few things about it that are different aside from just the fact that it's a hybrid trigger of a Generation 3 and a Glock 43. It's terrible. It is terrible. And I see where they tried making it a little bit better, but it's bad. It really is the worst Glock trigger out of the box that I've played with. And I know we talked about that, but looking at the way it fits in there and just the small space of the Glock 43 or slimline system, it just does not work very well. And there are a couple other things we can look at as we take it apart. Like I had said the other day, the extractor, the way that's set up is neat. Would I own a CR920? Definitely. I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels in my hand. The metal magazine is good. I like it. I still gotta go out and shoot it. I know some of the earlier ones they had some issues with, and I don't know exactly the build date on this one, whether it's one of the updated ones or not. I believe it is, and it's the War Poet edition. So it probably does. If it's reliable, that is one that I would actually consider owning. And if you've followed me for a while and watched any of these videos, you know that I'm not a huge Shadow Systems fan, but this one kind of won me over. Then again, maybe just the slide. I like the way the slide looks. And again, when we talk about that extractor being on a pin instead of the plunger style, that does make me rethink it again. So maybe I'm wrong, but we'll take a look at it. Like I said, I want to do it live. Maybe it won't be this Sunday, but maybe next Wildcard Wednesday we'll do a camera down, tabletop of me pulling apart the CR920. We can talk about it. Big Stealthy, how's it going? I see that. Let me move up here. There's a roll pin retaining the extractor. Yes, Stephen. We'll take a look at it. It's similar to some of the, I've seen an HK, I think CZP10 runs something similar. Instead of the plunger that's held on by the slide plate, it's actually it has a roll pin that you can drive in and out. And I haven't pulled that part. I have not pulled that apart. I don't know if I'm going to get that extensive into pulling it apart to look at it. I'll have to ask James to see if he's interested in me taking it that far apart. So we'll see. Then we can maybe we'll get a chance to look and see what those parts are, or maybe I can find an exploded view. That's me shaking my shaker cup. Just let me get a drink here. I live on pre-workout, just saying. Good pre-workout. There are some really bad ones out there. Now they're all overpriced, and they make a killing off them. And Pregem has made quite a killing off of me over the years, but it's my favorite one. So the CR 920, like I said, we'll do a top down so we can take a look at it. That trigger, I'm gonna fix it. But my God, that is the worst factory trigger that I've ever seen. And the sad part is just how expensive that gun is in compared to a standard G43 is just outrageous for as bad a trigger as you get. But then again, it is a self-defensive EDC handgun, and I guess for some people that is something they want, is a really heavy, long trigger, I guess. I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. So we're gonna fix that. What else? I talked about getting other triggers in here to kind of take a look at them. And one thing I did want to do, because I was going to order a couple different ones, and before I do that, the idea is not for me to punch down, if you will. I don't want to make fun of things. I'm not here to just say something is crap. And I'm kind of afraid that if I order too many triggers in here of various ones, because I've dealt with a lot of different triggers, and I have my particular shoes that I like to use because they work and they're high quality. So I'm going to be somewhat selective on which ones I bring in, and I want to try to be more objective than anything else. I fear that I might be a little bit too harsh on them just because I am kind of particular. And that's why there's only a certain amount of triggers that I actually use on a full-time basis. So there's that. I did order one in. I couldn't help myself because I've seen a couple that get thrown around, especially on like the Dagger like groups on Facebook. And Matt, this is not this has nothing to do with you. You do some really good work. I know you're big on the daggers, you're big on the dagger groups. So this isn't anything on you, but you've probably seen and I'm talking to you, Matt, people bringing up or at least one guy. I think it's really only one guy. He brings it up every time. Ram Tactical. Now, the thing about the Ram Tactical trigger system or setup or whatever, I haven't ordered that one, but it's 3D printed. And most likely they use a 3D or a carbon fiber. Looking at the color and just looking at it, it looks to be probably, because the one guy keeps talking about how it's carbon fiber, and it's 3D printed. That's different. That you can have 3D printed or carbon fiber resin, or not resin, but traces in your 3D filament. I have some 3D printers. I've played with 3D printing things. As for having a trigger that is 3D printed, like I said, I bought one. I bought one on eBay. It's 3D printed. It's it looks like he tried putting his little logo in there. Oh no. Destroy 453 has entered the chat. Oh boy. Okay. 3D printed. I ordered it off eBay, and it's definitely 3D printed. It's it's rough. I think I paid like $30 for it, and I don't know. Well, I can say for me, $30 was a little bit much, and I bought this one first just to kind of try to be objective with it, but also it's a 3D printed trigger, and it was just the trigger shoe itself. I've since thrown it into one of my frames just to see if they went crazy with their design. The safety tab, which can be easily modified, does hit the frame, and this is just I threw it in a Glock 7 or a Glock 19, my test Glock 19 Generation 3, which is kind of just a general I found it to be a good test frame that kind of falls within tolerances. Um, and like I said, the safety hit the frame, um, and they surprisingly enough, I thought that they were going to remove a lot more pre-travel than they did. So they didn't. It actually has a little bit less, I'd call it 20% less than a factory trigger. And then the over travel, they did reduce some of that almost to the point where the trigger wouldn't break. So um it's a good try. It's neat. It's red. It's 3D printed. If you've not messed with anything that's been 3D printed, some prints are better than others. This one looked like it was fairly decent. There's still some strings hanging off of it. It's definitely rough. You know, it's got a polymer pin for the safety, and it's got a little ledge at the bottom to catch your finger. It's open on this side, and it's definitely a 3D printed Glock trigger. Would I recommend you buy it? No, I definitely would not recommend that. Maybe if you were into modifying it for like a range gun or something, which really anything 3D printed. The 3D printer. I have an air fryer in the house, and the knob broke, and I found a file for a 3D printed knob, and it works really good. It does. Not even gonna lie. It was like $20 on Amazon to buy a new knob. I came out here and I printed one in like 3 or 4 hours, and it works great. It's been working for about 4 or 5 months now. However, I do not really believe that I would want to run something like this on on my Glock. Now, if I was prototyping, I have tried the Polymer Agency trigger. They call it their Syndicate line. I have. Um, it wasn't bad. Kind of expensive for compared to the Overwatch. Now I use the Overwatch Polydat all the time. Just a sec. Little burp there. Okay. I use the Overwatch Polydat all the time. I am a fan of polymer triggers. I like them. I've had really good luck with polymer triggers just due to the fact that polymer has a natural lubricity to it, if you will. Whereas aluminum or even aluminum and steel, you're looking at something that needs lubricated and could get gummed up easy, whereas polymer trigger safety is going to it's going to work longer uh, without lubrication or cleaning. So I do like polymer triggers. Some people are against them. They feel like there's extra wiggle or a little bit more give after the break. Maybe I haven't found that to be really the case. But when it comes to it, an aluminum trigger looks better, and most of your aftermarket triggers are obviously going to be aluminum, just because it's easier to it's easier to machine aluminum than it is to spend the investment on molds, unless you're a really large company like Agency or Overwatch. They can put money into that. So that's why you're going to see more polymer trigger. You're going to see polymer triggers from bigger companies than more so than you are smaller companies. They're going to be aluminum because that's it's easier to machine something. So as for the 3D printed trigger, uh, yeah, I definitely would pass on this, especially for $30, when for another $10 you can get the Polydat, which is a proven trigger. These are neat, and like I said, nowadays prototyping 3D printers really help with prototyping because you can basically build a model, you can prototype, you can get it what they call sliced, which is how the 3D printer reads and knows how to print out what it's supposed to do. And like I said, you can prototype a trigger. This is kind of what it reminds me of. This is just kind of like somebody's prototype. They had fun with it. They're making money on it on eBay, and I got to give them that. But its actual action is definitely not worth $30. And you know, I got to give them that. Ram Tactical, like I said, is the one that I keep saying on the PSA forums or um, Facebook groups. I did look at them, and I'm probably going to order one in because I am curious about it. It does seem to have a lot, if not all, of the pre-travel removed. And the way that he has modified the vertical extension is pretty severe, almost to the point of like the Leonidas system, maybe even more so, which you can run into trouble doing that. You can have light primer strikes if you remove too much material from that vertical extension, which, like I said, it looks like he definitely has. But I'm concerned about it from a safety aspect, especially if I'm seeing him PSA daggers, because I didn't see where his complete kit had the required safety extension for the drop ledge. So I'm probably going to order one of those in. I'm going to take a look at it. We'll probably go over it and I'll make a video, but I'll probably reach out to them first with my concerns before I just go ahead and drop a video, because maybe they don't know. I'm not sure, but it is definitely a thing. It won't push the firing pin block enough, yes, so that the firing pin will contact with it, yes. And that's something that with the Leonidas system, I had to tune and perfect to get that thing right, depending on the generation. And then, when you throw in the fact that some slides are going to sit closer to the frame than others, you will then have them rub against the slide, even right out of the box. So you have to actually, on some combinations, you'll have to take a little bit off the top of that vertical extension. So with Glocks being so different, some of them the tolerances are really close and the slide sits right down on the frame. You're going to need to actually remove some from the top, and then others, if you remove too much of that vertical extension, even just to get the clearance that you need, you're then going to have light primer strikes. So I've run into both, and that's one of the reasons why with the Leonidas system, and it says, it must be fitted. This thing is as close as it's going to get to just being a drop in, but to finish it off, it does take a little bit extra. And so, there's a little bit extra troubleshooting with things like the Leonidas system. And with the Ram Tactical 3D printed carbon fiber trigger, I wonder what he's run into with that. So like I said, I'm going to order one. I'm going to take a look at it just out of morbid curiosity, and maybe to help him get on the path of righteousness if he doesn't already. He may have, just because the pictures on his website show one thing doesn't always mean that that's exactly what you're getting. I've seen that many times. I think, well, anyways, we've all been there, and so we'll take a look. When it comes to I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, especially having been through something similar in the past on my own. So as it is, if you would, I want to take just a quick moment for those of you guys that are watching. If you haven't already, hit the like button. And if you haven't, maybe hit the subscribe. If I haven't lost you already, we're getting close to 1,100 subscribers, which is pretty cool. I'm excited. The whole goal with getting back on YouTube and doing these live streams is to grow the channel and be able to get in touch with more of my customers. I've built thousands of triggers now, and I don't have thousands of subscribers. And to reach more people and be able to get there and talk to potential customers, past customers, if they've had issues or they need some extra troubleshooting, and just answer questions, because I've seen a little bit of everything. And when I think I've seen everything, I see something new. which actually brings me to one that I saw here recently on my end that I've not seen previously. And then Matt sent me a picture of a trigger that had the same thing from another manufacturer, and I've not seen this before, but now that I've seen one, it seems like I'm seeing another, and that was a safety. One of the trigger safeties had actually broke, and what had happened is the person who was shooting the gun, they were shooting very fast, and I'm guessing, or at least my thought is, their trigger finger moved slightly, and it actually was no longer depressing the safety enough for it to clear the frame. So as they pulled back on the trigger, the trigger safety contacted the frame and actually snapped off. And then the spring inside the trigger safety, disappeared, and they no longer had a trigger safety tab on there. I have never seen this in all of my time, not that I can remember. Um, so I saw one of my customers, and he fully recognized that it's not a normal thing. It He said I was shooting very, very fast, and I made a mistake. I overshot the trigger, which is, like I said, out of the thousands I've built, it's the first one I've ever seen like that. So he sent it in, I replaced the trigger safety, and we're good to go. But I haven't seen that. I've got it sitting on my wall of fame, if you will. And then Matt sent me a picture of an agency trigger that had done the same thing. I'm like, man, once you think you've seen everything, something new comes up. So trigger safeties, they can break. It's an odd occurrence, and it does happen from time to time. So I think one of the things that definitely has taught me, um, reiterate, pardon, is once I think I've seen everything, there's always something new. And that's why being able to get a chance to talk to you guys live, whether it's on emails, or here on live stream, anywhere, is just different things that you guys have seen. Maybe there's something you guys have seen that I haven't seen, and being able to interact like this is a great way to do it. Steven, yes, I've seen safety springs either in some designs, they can actually come out. It's a rarity, but I have seen them come out. I have seen them break or get wore out or get stuck. Either they'll be enough pocket lint, if you will, that will get up inside of a trigger enough to catch the spring. Like I said, I've seen them actually come out. Some of the Apex, and that might be one of the reasons why Apex changed their design, is the way that the original Apex trigger had a very thin, flat aluminum safety. And if you've seen any of those, they're not bad. But I have actually seen those escape. So I'm guessing that's why they went with the wider, flat safety. And then, of course, they probably also went with that wider, flat safety just because it's more comfortable. They went polymer because, like I said earlier, good possibility with just having the polymer in there, it's going to last longer. And Apex is big about duty rated triggers and that sort of thing. And, they're accepted by police forces here and there. And so that could be one reason. But yes, definitely I've seen trigger springs dissipate, break, go away. But as for actually breaking the safety tab, that's one I've not seen. I've seen triggers actually break. CMC, this is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of the CMC trigger, is as thin as that thing is. I've seen those break. I have actually seen those break, which is just kind of crazy. I definitely would not want to see a trigger break. I know originally people were asking me about the Boogeyman design being skeletonized, whether it was tough, and it is. I've not seen any of those break unless I did it on purpose while I was trying to drive a pin out. And this is one of the reasons why when somebody talks about wanting to replace their trigger onto another bar or something like that, I have them send it to me so that I can put it on an arbor press. Um, I actually originally started out using a pin punch and a hammer, and after destroying a few triggers, I just, like I said, sometimes I'm a little bit cheap and a little bit slow, and it's definitely been worth the investment. Was be an arbor press with a pin punch adapter. Definitely worth it. Makes life so much easier. And with, like I said, with the excommunicado, if a person needs to change something about it, I recommend them send it to me, because you can easily damage one of those with a pin punch that just moves a little bit in the wrong direction. So, but like I said, the excommunicado has stood up very, very well. I've not seen any of those break. I did see that safety break. It it can happen. Weird things happen in out in the field. So I think that's one of the reasons why you might see vehicle recalls, because they do test vehicles like crazy. And then there's that thing that they don't think about that can happen, unless it's just something that they did cut the corners on. But I was actually talking to my neighbor the other day when we were talking about performance parts versus just like standard equipment, and why once you start modifying something, that's when things start to happen. Well, um, with an OEM, they to keep things from occurring down the road, they beat the living crap out of a product before it hits the market. And that actually, they spend a lot of money up front so that they spend less money down the road, and they keep their reputation, which is very valuable. And so they, like I said, they beat the crap out of it, doing things that you would never think about doing to make sure that that thing is good to go. Now, these aftermarket companies that want to produce go fast parts, they probably, for the most part, they do test their stuff, but they might test only one facet of it, or the fact that it's going to get rid of your warranty. They 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 make something strong, but they don't test it to the same degree that an OEM does. So you kind of get that. You're going to see that also with gun parts. There, Glock, and that's one of the reasons why Glock doesn't change very much, is the fact that they don't need to. One, they don't need to, because in a manner of speaking, they don't need to, because they've tested these parts to the limit, and a good stock Glock is a tank in and of itself. Whereas once you start messing with things, you do tend to run into problems. When Glock brought out the Generation 5, or actually the FBI, which would be the 19M, there was actually an issue where the slide would fall off. Because, and I forget what the cause was with that, because that is an odd one. And maybe that was just parts being put on incorrectly, like the slide lever, little pinch lever. New parts, new platforms do cause issues. So them sticking with their basic idea does make some sense. I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, it would be nice to see some extra innovation. Steven, let's see, breaking their 509 frames, getting the trigger pin. Yeah, I have heard of that. Because being being a being a person who's broken plenty of things, both meaning to and definitely not meaning to while I'm trying to fix them, is something that even the best of us run into. And yeah, yeah. I mean, I try not to, but I have broken quite a few things trying to fix them. My My graveyard of extra parts is not only from my experiments, but also from just an oops here and there, or not expecting something to be so freaking tight. Apex is Apex and Overwatch are probably two of the worst, in a good way, if you will, when it comes to the tolerances of their pins. Their pins are in there. They machine those things very tight. So if you get an aluminum Overwatch or an Apex and you have to remove that trigger shoe, it's like I said, I've ruined more than a few, especially before I went with an arbor press. An arbor press does help. It definitely makes it easier, but just doing it with a hammer and punch, whew, they are bad. And that's one of the reasons why I have the Vader system, which is a Leonidas with polymer. I almost I almost went with a polydat, or not a polydat, but one of their DAT trigger shoes with the Leonidas system, but having to deal with their pins, because it was a nightmare. So I like their polydats. I use them, but having to deal with their trigger pins with their aluminum ones, not unless somebody really wants one when it comes to a Leonidas type system. And even then, I'm probably gonna say no. Um, I usually always remove. Steven says I usually always remove the new Apex triggers that aren't on OEM bars. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Those Apex, I don't know, not really sure why they went with some of their aftermarket bars the way that they have. I think they definitely, out of any company, I would have expected them to do more testing. But then again, you know, I don't know. But I can see why maybe they went with an aftermarket bar, but they probably could have chose better ones. I know, the amount of triggers that they sell and go through compared to a small shop like myself, or Steven, you who do it on, on your level, we might go through one Apex, or I might go through 100 triggers in a month. Well, they're going through 1,000 triggers. So the requirements that they need trigger bars is definitely insane. And I would love to have those numbers. I could not keep up with those numbers as a one-man show, and that would definitely change things around. Would be a pain. Uh, I've I have hired people in the past to work with me and tried to train them up, and with varying degrees of success. The thing about employees is they definitely do not have the same stakes as you do, or the same passions or reasons. So it is difficult, and I'm obviously getting off on a different tangent when it comes to that. But that is what I like about being a small shop, is the same guy who's putting your trigger together is the same guy who's answering the emails, is the same guy who's talking to you guys on live stream, is the same guy who's answering your messages on Instagram, no matter what time it seems like, during dinner, sometimes right when I wake up, emails, Facebook messages. That's me. So I'm there. And that's the beauty of a one-man operation. It does get busy. It can get kind of hectic. And there are definitely times when maybe I might be a little bit short when it comes to some of my messages, just because of whatever else is going on in my world. Um, but it does bring me a lot of joy and pride to be able to do that. That being a large company like Apex or Agency or Overwatch, they don't have that same connection. Yes, MR2 scroll. That's me. I'm the guy to bother, because I'm the guy who does pretty much everything. The one thing that I do not do is print out labels. I hate shipping. I know I hate shipping. I hate shipping things. That's why earlier on I was talking about the stickers. My girlfriend, love her to death, and I'm very thankful, but she prints out the labels. She does take care of that. Now I box everything, but she does take care of printing up the labels and verifying which goes where and that sort of thing, because that is one thing that drives me nuts is shipping. I don't know why it is. I don't know what it is about it. It's a tedious process, but printing up those labels is just not for me. It's a weakness. So I'm very fortunate there. But when it comes to everything else, like I said, answering emails, troubleshooting, building everything that is hand polished in the shop is done by me. Everything from connectors, trigger bars, I hand cut all of the modifications for the excommunicado, the Leonidas systems, the drilling up of the trigger block housings for the over travel stops, pre-travel stops on your Leonidas. All of that stuff is done by me. I do that. I'm the one, which obviously means if there's an issue, I'm the guy who knows about, I'm the guy who can best help you. And yeah, occasionally I make mistakes. It does happen. I definitely, I'm the guy to blame. Let's just put it that way. So anyways, so yeah, that's kind of, it's the beauty of being a one-man operation, the beauty and the pain of it all. So if you send me a message somewhere and it takes me a little bit of time to answer, and I hate having messages pile up. So I try to get them answered and through as soon as possible. So there is that. OZ9. Yes, I've built several triggers for not several. I've built a lot of triggers for OZ9s, especially when they first came out. It seems like there's less. They had a high point. A high point. There is actually there is an OZ9 that a friend of mine did that he did a high point Cerakote job on, and it's pretty it's pretty funny. They when they first came out, there was a big rush of them, and just as time has gone on, there's less and less of them that really are on the market, it seems like. But I have done a lot of triggers for them, just because of how bad the factory Zev trigger is. I see Stevens messed with those. That OEM bar they use, Zev uses their own trigger bar, and they have for a good amount of time, and they've done several generations to it, and different iterations, and none of them are that great. They're all pretty bad. Now, the thing about trigger bars for a Glock, even though it looks like a really simple thing, many have tried and only few have succeeded in actually creating good ones. Ghost has one out there. I don't know if Ghost markets theirs directly to customers, but they do market to the aftermarket. And I had one company that was telling me that they built their own trigger bars, and they sent one to me, and it was the Ghost trigger bar. I'm not going to mention who that company was, but turns out they're actually pretty well known for doing that sort of thing. But the Ghost trigger bar is terrible. They had a few in the beginning that were decent, and then the quality just went downhill. Zev's trigger bar is bad. Lone Wolf's trigger bar is bad. Shadow Systems trigger bar is not bad. It looks like with their generation 2 that they've come out with, we're not seeing the same type of cruciform breakage that we were originally. Now their CR920 trigger bar that whole system is bad. Do not put a CR920 trigger in your G43. It's just a big downgrade. Steven, let's see. MR2 scroll. Yes. If you have an OZ9 and you want a trigger for it, I have not verified the Leonidas system for it yet. but obviously the Excommunicado Gen 3 is going to rock and roll in that OZ9. It works really well. The reason why I haven't done the Leonidas yet for it is just I haven't verified the trigger guard opening yet, and to verify its safety and where to cut that safety when I do the Leonidas. I'm actually going to be doing that soon. I'm supposed to get Honest Outlaws OZ9. I built a trigger for him off an Apex. But we're gonna do a full Leonidas for him. So at that point, then I'll have my measurements that I need for the OZ9 on a Leonidas. Steven, they started to get a little better. At least they don't remove any material from the extension now, since there isn't even that much pre-travel taken out. Really? Oh man, because I know what that would be one thing. If I could have a trigger bar built for myself, I would definitely have some modification to that vertical extension. But if their new one's not even taking that out, it's probably for the best, just to make it more reliable overall. I'm gonna have to get one in. I'm gonna have to order a new Zev trigger bar. The I would definitely, that would help with the Leonidas, being able to have my own trigger bar made. It could happen in the future. I've definitely looked at trigger bars and trigger block housings, having something custom made there, and that could happen. Things will get better. Things are happening definitely in the future as tactical pontoon grows, because not only you can't, I'm not going to stay in the past. I've got some things going on that are really cool. Steven, yes, with the Zev OZ9 government contract, I'm sure that probably had something to do with it. So I'll be interested. I do need to order. I'll probably order in a Zev just to look at it, because the last Zev that I personally had, because I really don't get Zevs come through the shop. Nobody really buys Zevs triggers that come to me, at least it seems like, or at least send them to me to be pontoonized, if you will. It's just not something that I really see. So I haven't seen a Zev trigger that I personally have bought in a while. I've seen their trigger bars. People have bought their trigger bars and put something else on them because their trigger shoe is kind of garbage, each different variation. But I'm gonna have to order a new one in, just take a look at it, see what they've changed, because it's been a while. With their striker on clearance from Midway, $100. That's not too bad. I could see spending that just to have a trigger shoe to look at that we know is not great. Because like I said, I don't want to punch down, if you will. I don't want to order in a trigger that I don't want to just tear into something. I want to try to be objective about it. Zev is probably garbage, and there I am, judgmental, if you will. I have things that I like and use for a reason, because they're good. But that doesn't mean there's not some good stuff out there. I know they riveted it on the bar. Well, there you go. Yeah. Zev. I know. I'm so MR2 scroll. I judge. Having built as many triggers as I have, and the whole reason, if you hadn't caught this before, the whole reason I got into Glock triggers, I never planned on being into Glock triggers. I got a Glock for a very good deal, and from Scott, we had anyways, he had a Glock. He didn't like it. I can't blame him, because the trigger sucked. Of course, the other guns he had, the triggers kind of sucked too, but that's beside the point. And being a person that being a person that's always messing with things, I come from a background really of cars, messing with cars, and we kind of talked about that a little bit on another stream. So I'm always messing with something. And when I got the Glock, obviously, after watching videos here on YouTube, I was like, okay, I have to destroy 453. Good old Scott and him Smith and Wessons. I had to obviously start upgrading it, because Glock is kind of the it's the Honda Civic of the gun world in some ways. So there's parts for it all over the place, and the first thing I went to was the trigger, and that's what got me started. I bought a little bit of everything. I bought trigger shoes, I bought connectors, I bought spring kits, and by the time I was done at that point, I had a spongy trigger that felt like crap. It was really light. I remember being very proud of it and telling Scott, hey man, this trigger is really light. But then I realized, man, this thing is spongy. It's not very good. I put all the factory stuff back in, and I actually liked the factory trigger better than the spongy pile of crap that I had created. So it got me to thinking. That's kind of put me on the path. So like I said, I bought a lot of different things. Adjustable trigger shoes. Yeah, that actually came later. My first thing that I did was a ghost connector. Was it a ghost connector? Like I said, I went cheap first. I think it was either a ghost, or it might have been the Zev Pro. I think it was the Zev Pro, which, not Zev Pro, the Zev Ultimate, Zev V3. That's the first one I bought. It was like $15 on eBay. And like I said, I put that thing in there. It was light. And it just, that started me down the path. And my next then I did a trigger shoe from Kinetitech. The very first video here on my YouTube channel is a Kinetitech, because I liked that shoe at the time. That was the first thing that I did on this channel for Glock 43. I have a video of me putting on a Kinetitech trigger on a G43, which was not my first Glock, but I had already been down the road before, and they were relatively cheap. So I did a video here, and it was it's like 45 minutes. It's not good, especially doing anyways, it was my first video. So that's how this channel started off. Original Zev Race, the Zev Race V3, that connector, which I have a couple, and when you put back in the day, which isn't that long ago, but when I think about when I first started, when you put Glock connector into the search on eBay, that's all there was. Like, there were Zev V3 race connectors all over the place. They're gone now, and I know why they're gone. They had a bit of a reputation for turning triggers into into binary. It's a race connector. You got to tune for that thing. I still from time to time joke about tuning up playing with one of those and creating something neat out of it, but there's only a couple of them left, and they're very spongy. If done wrong, they're very spongy. They are light. They're very spongy. The reset is pretty good, but at the same time, I found plenty of frames that I put it into that it just wanted to go binary in. So I can see why they pulled that guy off the market. Yes. Yeah. So that's kind of where I got started. I bought a lot of different things. Bought a lot of different triggers, expensive triggers. I bought agency triggers, which, I thought, man, that's going to be the game changer. And it really wasn't. And I bought the Zev because I thought Zev, they're the race gun experts. I was a young Glock enthusiast at that point. So I didn't know what I was doing, and I bought a lot of them, and I was disappointed by the end of my bank account, if you will. So I started looking into what made a Glock work, and I saw what did work, what didn't work. I sketched out, and I have a notebook full of ideas and different things I was trying to play around in. Spirit Walker, Ranger proof trigger shoes. No. At one time, yes. Now, no. I don't recommend the Ranger proof trigger shoes for a variety of reasons. Um, so yeah, I don't recommend the Ranger proof trigger shoes. There's better out there. There's a lot better out there. The Gunco, uh, Gunco makes a really good trigger shoe, right around the same price. I would recommend that ahead of Ranger Proof. If you want to look, the other one would be obviously Boogeyman Customs is one that I would recommend. Overwatch I would recommend before Boogeyman. I would pretty much recommend just about anything over a Ranger Proof trigger shoe for a variety of reasons. Um, yeah. So yeah, that's my Ranger Proof is just not on top of my list. You can actually go back to some of my earlier videos that I've not changed. And I talk about Ranger Proof triggers being the ones that I used, and I used to use those, but in no way, shape, or form do I use them anymore. I've turned away people that want to pontoonize a Ranger Proof trigger shoe. But yeah. So, anyways, that's one day maybe I'll go farther into the whole Ranger Proof thing. But I've been down that road. There's better ones out there. Not you don't even have to go through me. If you just want a trigger shoe, you can go directly to Boogeyman. You can go directly to the Gunco. Obviously Overwatch, Apex. You don't have to get it directly from me, but I don't recommend Ranger Proof. Okay, Steven, I think they just sell trigger shoes with no trigger bars now. If they still remove pre-travel, the trigger will be engaging the safety. Yeah. Yeah. You're correct. And it used to be worse. They've gotten a little better when it comes to that. On to another topic other than Ranger Proof shoes. I've got pretty strong feelings about them on a lot of different levels. And I'm there's anyways. Ranger Proof. What were we talking about? Oh, along the road of the tactical pontoon. And Ranger Proof was along the road of tactical pontoon. But I found out that, let me go back. Okay, sorry. The Ranger Proof thing always throws me off, just because of different things. But I have a notebook, and I still have it. I actually have several notebooks of sketches, and I was laying out different ideas, trying to really wrap my head around what made a Glock trigger work and the different modifications that I could do. I've got some crazy ideas. I had some basic ideas, and I took down different readings. I bought the trigger gauge so that I knew what was working, what wasn't working, whether I was just, getting that new trigger feel in my head versus what actually was happening. I bought different springs. I was looking at different strikers, the different lengths of the different strikers, maybe what I could do, different modifications to the striker. And I had some really crazy out there ideas. And then I came up with the Tactical Pontoon name came from Instagram, my Instagram thing. I never expected to really build triggers for anybody else. And I came up with something that really worked very good in my Glock. I was very happy with it. So I built a couple more, and it was exciting. And I ended up sending one to Jonathan at Tactical Toolbox. because I watched a lot of his videos, and he was doing a lot of the Polymer 80 stuff. And at that time, he was doing Glock triggers. So I just kind of sent him a message on Instagram. Didn't expect any sort of um, response really, because he's a busy guy. He's on YouTube. At the time, I think he had like 70,000 subscribers or something. He's massive now. I think he's like 700,000 subscribers at this point. So I sent him a message, just, hey, just, I built a trigger, give it a try. Well, he tried it out. He posted a video on Instagram of him trying it out for the first time, and next thing I know, I've just kind of blown up before even realizing that that's what I was going to get into. I had a website because I had an idea. I was going to do like product reviews and stuff, so I had a website. I didn't have any sort of commerce set up for it. It was just because at that time YouTube was doing some funny things. So I thought I might have to host my own videos or whatnot. So that's kind of how Tactical Pontoon started. Here I am multiple years later, thousands of triggers later. I've learned secrets. I've seen secrets. I've played with guns from all over the place. I've been very fortunate to talk to a lot of different people about different guns and about different builds that they're going to embark upon. I've worked with some of the best out there. I look forward to working with more people as time goes on. I've got some good stuff. Yes, Scott, you did create a monster. You should have known. You should have known. You should have sold me that old Smith & Wesson. Boy, that would have. Thank you for not doing that. So with 2023 being right around the corner, and with tomorrow being Thanksgiving, I'm gonna take a moment. Johnny Glock. What about Johnny Glock? No, Johnny's a good guy. Johnny's a good guy. He's very, very knowledgeable. I've learned some stuff from him originally. I didn't buy any of his triggers. I am kind of a cheap ass when it comes to some things, and his stuff was kind of out of my range. But once I did start doing some stuff, we've had conversations. I've bounced ideas off of him. He's bounced a few things off of me. But he's a good guy. Good guy. He's the original. He's the OG, if you will. I don't quite stand in his shadow. We do two different things, and you can't lose no matter which way you go. But you could probably buy from Tactical Pontoon. That's, anyways, nothing but respect. Nothing but respect there. So, anyways, that's Tactical Pontoon. With 2023 almost here, I've got something I'm rolling out that if you're a gun builder who does it professionally, I got some good stuff that I'm looking at rolling out. I've got a few people that are looking into my plans that I've started, just to kind of get an idea. It's good. It's good. There's some good stuff for Tactical Pontoon, and it's going to be easier for you to get a hold of some Tactical Pontoon tuned triggers. So instead of having to come to me, you'll be able to get them through different builders and get them tuned up before they head out to you after, like, let's say you're getting your gun stippled or Cerakote or something like that. So there's some good stuff going when it comes to that. I'm very excited about that. And with tomorrow being Thanksgiving, I'm very thankful for, and I say this all the time. That's kind of a bad way to put it. I don't mean to make it sound like, anyways, I'm very thankful for everybody. I'm thankful for everybody who's given me a chance to build them something worthy. I really am. I'm very thankful to be given this opportunity to talk to everybody, to get a chance to work on some really cool builds. I've been very fortunate to be involved with some really cool builds. over time. From builds that from companies that maybe you guys have known, like Get a Grip Customs, or Rook Customs, or some of the other guys out there. I've been very fortunate to work with them, or just to work with guys that have no social media following. They're just a guy, and they're building something that they want, and just to be able to help them create something really cool for themselves. It's each and every time I still get excited about it. I still get excited about, little messages where somebody thanks me for going above, beyond their expectations of what a Glock trigger can be. And yeah, I still enjoy it. After all this time, I still enjoy it, and that's a good thing. So I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful for my opportunity to do this, and I really don't take it for granted. So I'm very thankful for you guys here to join me on these live streams, and see me act like an idiot, go off tangent, and you still put up with me. I like answering questions, and Smith and Wesson, with a hidden Smith and Wesson. MR2 scroll. No, no, no. I have a Glock 19 that sits by the bedstand, and right next to it, I also have an H&K P2000. So if for some reason the Glock fails me, I know the H&K is not going to fail me. But no Smith and Wesson. I don't own any Smith and Wessons. I get asked about Smith and Wesson M&Ps. Angel Ramos. Man, probably really screwed that. I apologize. Not too much. I am just actually about to wrap up the live stream. It's been going for a little over an hour, and I got, well, one, like I said earlier, I got to go burn some calories before I go put a ton of calories inside myself tomorrow, because it's gonna happen. I am going to eat like I'm thankful. Like I'm thankful. The new M&P 2.0. I've played with a couple M&Ps. I get asked about them quite regularly. Apex makes a really good trigger kit for those, and maybe eventually. I say this all the time. Maybe eventually on the M&Ps I'll do something. But again, Glocks do keep me busy, but innovation is something that I do try to do, so I'm not always stuck on Glocks. But man, they keep putting out new Glock frames, and people are still building them. And I'm still innovating. I'm still creating a better Glock trigger as time goes on, and I'm still putting out new stuff. So, and no, Scott, do not buy a 2.0. Don't do it. Don't do it. Well, you'll probably do it. Go buy some more 9mm ammo for me. All right, guys. It's been over an hour. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me before Thanksgiving. Thankful for you guys. And I'd be really thankful if you hit that like button if you haven't already. If you're not subscribed, do that subscribe thing. That's the YouTube call. Let's grow this thing. So if you would, well, catch me on the next one. We'll be doing the Sunday swimming with the pontoon. I've got a couple ideas for videos, but if you have something that you want me to talk about or have questions, shoot me a message. Leave it here in chat, or shoot me an email, Instagram, Facebook message, and I'll look into it. All right. So as it is, you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and I will see you back here Sunday.